Hernando County deputies say he attacked them with a molotov cocktail, so they fired back. Now, that same Weeki-Wachee man wounded in a confrontation with the law is accused of another crime, the murder of his own daughter-in-law. Our Chris Martinez has been following this developing story all day and joins us now with what the sheriff says was the suspect's big plan here. Chris?
Well, Jameson, Brett Hattenbrun was just transferred from a hospital room to a jail cell tonight, and the sheriff says he had no problem telling deputies what he'd done and why.
Deputies were closing in on Brett Hattenbrun, and they say he knew it. So when they showed up at his home Tuesday, the sheriff says Hattenbrun had a new plan.
Typical suicide by cop. He had made a couple statements that he had wished that we had taken his life.
Deputies say that's what Hattenbrun hoped would happen when he attacked them with a molotov cocktail and a nail gun. Instead, he was shot once and only wounded, and then later in the hospital, they say he'd admit to something else: beating his own daughter-in-law to death.
He stole a couple items from her in an attempt to make it look like a robbery.
It was a crime that shook this neighborhood to its core. Joey Hattenbrun was found murdered in her driveway just over a week ago, leaving people here terrified they could be next.
There's a sign on the front lawn for an alarm system. That happened in the last week and a half.
Ron Bobo was stunned to find out his neighbor is now charged with the crime, telling us Hattenbrun seemed distraught just days after the murder.
He seemed like someone in mourning, to be honest with you. He was walking his dog and he was talking to another fellow up the street, and you could just tell that he was, shaken by the whole thing.
That's a far different demeanor, though, than the one deputies describe when they say Hattenbrun gave them a full confession.
He does not seem to be a real remorseful person at this point, though, about the whole situation.
And deputies say Hattenbrun told them the murder happened while he was confronting his daughter-in-law about marital issues she was having with his son. They say that was the motive here. He was already facing 5 counts of attempted murder of a law enforcement officer, and now Hattenbrun also faces a charge of first-degree murder.